Outpost is a complicated game, and its learning curve is steepened by the lack of information found in the manual. This tutorial is designed to be used with the initial shipping version of Outpost. Any patch disks, updates, bug fixes, and the like are liable to make some of the information here obsolete, but if you're one of the many who are having a hard time just getting started, we'll show you how to get a decent colony going. We won't tell you where to go, but we will tell you what to bring and what to do with it. This is the equipment that is pre-selected for you. Unfortunately, you can't deselect any of it. You're not likely to need the tokamak reactor, but you're stuck with it. If you load your ship with the equipment shown here, you'll be able to take the maximum amount of colonists, keep them alive until the first structures are built, take all the cargo you need, and bring every available satellite. When it comes time to place your seed factory, pick a site with a large number of mines and at least one spot without much impassable terrain. Right-clicking on a site map and choosing Toggle Elevation Map from the Tools menu changes it to a topographic map, where dark areas indicate low terrain which is likely to be level and clear. Once you decide on a site, place your seed factory where the terrain is best suited for building. You don't need to worry about being close to the mining beacons because in this phase of the game, distance and terrain aren't factored into the time it takes to move ore from the mine to the smelter. Once your seed factory lands, put your 3 robots to work. Place the miner on a mine beacon, place the digger at the end of one of the tube intersections, and place the dozer at the end of another tube intersection. One final word of warning. Most of your structures can only be placed at the end of a tube, so you'll want to get some clear ground around them as soon as possible. Tube connectors on buildings don't function as tubes. Only tube pieces are tubes, so you can't create a string of side-by-side buildings. Keep an eye on your robots and never let them stay idle. Your digger will quickly create an underground level with an elevator and air shaft leading down to it. Click on the structure that was built where your digger used to be. This is the top of that shaft. You should see the beginnings of an underground level. You'll know you need to burrow it out some more. Place your digger at the edge of the level and select a direction for it to dig to. Try to steer your underground level away from mines. Accidentally digging through a mine shaft is not a good thing. By this time, your colonist and cargo landers should be ready to come down. Plan ahead and place them somewhere out of the way. They don't have to connect to a tube, so save your valuable space at the tube intersections. Bring down all your landers as soon as you can. They'll give you the resources to construct the facilities of your colony, as well as supply you with the people needed to do the construction. The people will be housed in the command module that the seed factory generated until you build residences. They won't like it, but they'll tolerate it for long enough. Once you've brought your landers down, the first thing you should do is build an agricultural dome to supply your colonists with food. If you brought the full load of 200 colonists with you, you'll soon need 2 agridomes, but for now, 1 will suffice. The agricultural dome must be placed at the end of a tube. Once it is constructed, other tubes may be strung off it, as is the case with most structures. The next structure you should construct is the Chap Facility, which will provide the colony with breathable air. The supplies of food and air you brought on the mothership will sustain you while you build the Chap and your first agridome, but they won't last long. When people run out of food and air, morale will take a sharp dip south, and you don't want that. A power plant of some sort should be next on your list. This is one of those rare structures that doesn't need to be on a tube. The solar plant is usually the best one to opt for. Even on a planet that only gets 44% of the Earth's solar radiation, a solar plant with 2 receivers will generate 1,000 units of power per turn, which you won't outgrow for a long time. The tokamak reactor creates a dangerous containment tank directly below itself on the underground level that leaks radiation. If you must build a tokamak reactor, keep it and your underground colony separated. Next in line is the storage tank. Without storage tanks, none of the resources you harvest are saved, so you'll want one quick. One storage tank should do for quite a while, but click it on every few turns just to make sure it's not approaching capacity. Finally, it's time to give your colonists a decent place to live. Click on the command center to see what your population is. You'll need 1 residential unit for every 25 colonists to keep them happy. Go down to the underground level. That is where you must place all the residences. They must be attached to tubes as well. Speaking of the tubes, the straight pieces are a waste of time. Use only intersections to give yourself the most flexibility. When you have a few residences placed, you may also want to build a police station, since high crime will turn your residences into red light districts. Now it's time to concentrate on getting some more robots. You can make do with only 1 miner, but having only 1 dozer and 1 digger quickly limits what you can do. Start construction of a warehouse at the end of a tube. Until you've completed a warehouse, the seed factory pod generated will not produce anything for you. Once the warehouse is up and running, your factory will start working if you remember to assign it something to do. We suggest starting off with some dozers. You won't be able to actually use the extra robots you build until you have a robot command center, so find another tube ending and get one started. Once you have this in the warehouse, you'll be able to manufacture and use extra robots. This is the key to massive expansion, which in turn will force you to start managing your resources. Apart from the occasional construction job, most of your colonists are standing around with nothing to do. They'll be much happier if they're busy. Build a lab in the underground section connected to a tube. Once it's ready, click it on to assign it a research subject. Basic research is a good place to start. After the lab, build a factory above ground to enable you to produce more robots. Robots are your friends, especially dozers and diggers, so get a good supply of them as early as you can. You should now have a good solid fledgling colony going. This is by no means all there is to do in Outpost, but it should give you a good start and help you with some of the more cryptic elements of starting the game. Once you know a little about how the game works, you should be able to adapt this guide to any future versions of the game Sierra puts out.